A South Korean company recently succeeds in developing a new innovative material called Polyketon. South Korea struggled to move toward a new material power by making generous investment. South Korea is considered to be a top ICT power in the world. We will talk about how South Korea is contributing to the global society. Getting medical examinations at home in an era of remote medical examination. From smartphone apps to robotic surgeries, let's meet the ICT technologies embedded in medical industries. Introducing semi-permanent eco-friendly silicone wrap. We will visit JNC Global, which is capturing the hearts of global housewives. Numbers have different meanings in North Korea. We will explore the background and intentions behind its secretive numerical politics.
Hello, I'm Andrew Salmon and welcome to Bizline. Now, the creation, production, deployment, dissemination and adoption of new technologies is increasingly a factor in national economic power. And it's a factor that South Korea has mastered to the point where it's teaching some of these skills to a range of nations, both developing and developed. And of course, later in the show, we'll be looking at what some of those technologies may be, from a new form of silicone wrap to remote medical exams. But before we go to those and other features, let's first take a look at all the breaking business and economic news hitting headlines across South Korea this week.
Finance Minister Hyun Oh-seok said the government will do its best to adjust the imbalance between exports and domestic demand in the coming year. He said the government will take steps to create jobs, foster investment, and encourage private consumption. According to OECD's economic forecast, Korea's GDP would jump 3.8% in 2014 on year. That's slightly lower from earlier this year, due in part to concerns over the nation's high level of household debt, which is likely to hamper private consumption growth through 2015. Korea is expected to post the highest ever gross national income per capita of well over $24,000 this year. The rise from well below $23,000 in 2012 is inflated by the strength of the Korean currency. Korea's GNI per capita first surpassed the $20,000 mark in 2007 and has hovered below $23,000 in the past 5 years. Seoul's Trade Ministry announced that Korean and Chinese officials had wrapped up their 8th round of talks for a bilateral free trade agreement. Both sides submitted lists of products to be liberalized that were not of sensitive nature, and Seoul's offer list included steel, petrochemical, and machinery products, while China's list included some farm products.
If a new idea can change the world, then a new material can change an industry. In order to become a powerhouse in new industrial materials, South Korea has recently been making significant investments in their discovery and their creation. And recently, some of those investments have been paying off.
An essential component in making automobiles and electronic products, engineering plastic. The war is on the global front to introduce new materials with the rise in demand for engineering plastic that is more light and more strong. Petrochemical companies in South Korea are turning to develop new and advanced material and investing heavily in the field. The country is working hard to become the leading nation in new material. Earlier in November, Hyo-sung introduced Polyketon, a new and advanced polymeric material. The Polyketon is believed to be the new material that can rewrite history as the replacement of nylon, which had dominated the market for 75 years since its invention in 1938.
폴리케톤은 발상의 전환을 통해 석유화학 공정에서 나오는 폐가스를 주 원료로 해서 여러 산업 분야에서 꼭 필요한 각종 부품을 만드는 일석이조의 소재라는 점에서
Other advanced nations failed in commercial production of Polyketon, but Hyosung invested nearly $50 million and spent 10 years to become a successful commercial producer. Polyketon is 2.3 times stronger in absorbing shock than nylon, while 30% higher in chemical resistance and 14 times stronger in wear resistance compared with polyacetyl. And Hyosung was successful in commercializing this environmentally friendly Polyketon.
폴리키톤은 기초 원천 소재입니다. 그래서 지금까지 대한민국에서는 한 번도 개발이 되었거나 또는 상용화된 사례가 없는 그런 소재이고, 그 용도로 봤을 때는 이게 자동차 부품이라든지 전기전자, 산업자재 쪽에 사용되는 엔지니어링 플라스틱 소재고, 그 특성이 나일론이라든지 PBT라든지 이런 소재에 대비해서 탁월한 성능을 갖기 때문에 소재 그 자체도 상당한 경쟁력을 가지고 있지만, 그 소재를 사용하는 자동차 산업, 전기전자 산업, 이 산업 분야에 또 하나의 획기적인 어떤 경쟁력을 부과할 수 있는 그런 물질이라고 생각을 합니다.
Engineering plastic material market is estimated to be around $60 billion, and it is a value-added industry growing on average 5% per annum. Companies around the world are competing to become the leader in the Polyketon market.
지금까지 그 엔지니어링 플라스틱의 주종을 이루는 것은 나일론 W6라고 일컬어지는 이제 제품인데요. 이 제품과 경쟁을 하게 되면 얼마나 많은 시장을 잠식할 거냐의 문제입니다. 그 시장의 규모는 우리가 상상하기 힘들 만큼 크기 때문에요. 이제 후발주자로서 성공하기 위해서는 코스트를 낮추고 해서 결국은 그 시장을 넘어서야 되는 그런 문제가 있지만, 그것이 성공한다면 그 파장은 굉장히 클 걸로 생각이 됩니다.
Another chemical firm, SK Chemical, recently received spotlight for developing super engineering plastic polyphenylene sulfide, PPS, through environmentally friendly technology. Although SK was a latecomer in the PPS market, already taken by the US and Japan, it was successful in producing a new type of PPS which doesn't contain chlorine.
염소는 전자제품이나 자동차 부품에 사용될 때 기계의 오작동을 일으키는 그런 문제를 가지고 있고, 염소 자체로서도 비친환경적인 물질이기 때문에 상당히 제외되어야 하는 그런 물질이었는데, 지금까지 타 회사들은 그런 제품을 개발하지 못하였고, 저희가 최근에 다년간의 연구를 거쳐서 개발하게 되었습니다.
Businesses believe that the material industry is the growth engine that can give high return on a long-term perspective.
이런 원천적 소재들은 국내 시장뿐만 아니라 전 세계 시장을 타겟으로 하고 있기 때문에 저희가 가지고 있는 제품이 전 세계 어떤 업체든지 나가게 될 것이고, 또 우리 제품을 제일 먼저 쓰게 될 국내 이제 자동차 회사나 전기 전자 회사들은 그걸 통해서 또 다른 경쟁력을 가질 걸로 생각을 합니다.
Thanks to these achievements, South Korea saw a sharp increase in trade surplus on material and components exports. Their exports increased by 33 folds to $91 billion in 2012 from $2.7 billion in 2001. South Korea now ranks number 5 in the global market share of material and components as of 2010, a jump from 10th place in 2001. Government support also contributed to such noticeable growth. In 2003, the South Korean government set in motion a special law to support companies in material and components, and in 2010 it began a program called World Premium Material, which selects and supports top 10 core materials. As a result, a Korean company was successful in developing wide magnesium sheet for use in plane production, which is the first in the world. And that's not all. There are more than 830 patents registered in the industry, such sapphire single crystal for LED. Some 2,500 new jobs were created and saw around $70 million in revenue.
그리고 특히 소재 분야에서는 각종 민간 자금의 투자가 절실히 필요한데 이런 정책 자금과 민간 자금이 원활하게 소재 분야 중소기업으로 유입될 수 있도록 정부가 각종 정책 협의회를 구성하고 투자가 효율적으로 이루어지도록 그렇게 추진해 나갈 계획입니다.
The government is aiming to achieve $1 billion in revenue and take 30% of global market share by 2019 with its selected top 10 core material. However, there are still more obstacles to overcome. New materials developed by South Korean firms are limited in their use. Moreover, they have to survive the ever so competitive world of patenting.
기술적인 것도 중요하지만 가격적인 것이 굉장히 중요합니다. 그리고 사람들이라는 게 대충 어떤 한 물질을 쓰게 되면은 잘 안 바꾸려 그럽니다. 그러면 후발주자의 경우에는 물성도 당연히 더 좋아야 되고 가격도 낮춰야 되고 그리고 전략을 잘 짜서 그거를 대처할 수 있도록 그렇게 설득을 해야 되는데 이 공정이 굉장히 길고 힘든 공정의 작업이기 때문에 그렇습니다. 제일 중요한 사실은 장기 테마에 대한 기초 연구를 할 수 있는 그런 기다림, 정부나 기업이 기다리는 자세가 꼭 필요하지 않을까 그렇게 생각이 듭니다.
The creation of new and advanced materials is the realization of the creative economy and the future core industry of South Korea. The heat is on to take the lead in the new material industry on the global front. And despite South Korea becoming a latecomer in the field, it is sure to make headways with its recent surprising developments.
During the 1950s, South Korea was a war-torn, devastated nation, reliant upon international aid and international assistance. What a difference 60 years makes. South Korea is today one of the most prosperous nations on earth and has transformed from being an aid recipient to an aid donor. Among the aid which South Korea is donating to the developing world is that concerning ICT, information and communication technologies. To discuss this and related issues, we have with us the head of global cooperation at the National Information Society Agency here in Seoul. Here's Dr. Yoon Jung-won. Dr. Yoon, welcome to Bizline.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, now I hope I said your title correctly. It's a bit of a mouthful. You must have a very large business card.
Mm-hmm.
What does the National Information Society Agency actually do?
Okay, NIA was founded in 1987 to execute and implement broadband infrastructure and e-government in Korea. And we actually help the government and the private sector to promote the public services with the ICT-enabled services. And we helped a lot of people and organizations in setting up public services with the ICT-enabled technologies. And that is basically what we are doing.
Okay, and you're head of IT cooperation, global IT cooperation. What you just told me suggests a very, very local focus. What's the international angle to your job?
Basically, our major business portfolio is about ICT ODA, Overseas Development Aid. Every year we are executing about $10 million of ICT ODA, but it's not about the financial aid. Actually, it's more like an in-kind contribution to the international community. And since Korea joined the OECD, we are actually pushed by international community to contribute a bit more for developing countries. So we are spending a little bit of money to help our developing partners regarding with the capacity buildings and reducing digital gap.
Gotcha. The digital gap, of course, this is a much discussed term in international society. What it actually is being done by South Korea, but also by the international community, to reduce the digital gap between the advanced nations and the developing nations?
Actually, a lot of countries are spending quite a bit of money to reduce the digital gap.
Yeah.
When you look back, if I remember correctly, about 2005, there was a big a forum called WSIS, WSIS forum, and a lot of global leaders gather around, and they claim that they have to reduce the digital gap to get rid of the poverty as well, because if you cannot access the information and knowledge, actually is the big factor in increasing poverty level. So many countries are spending a lot of time and resources in helping developing communities, and they are donating money to multi-development bank to create the trust fund, and they are helping developing community with the trust fund as well. In Korea's case, we are helping developing community with the in-kind contributions such as technical assistance by dispatching consultants, and also doing a lot of capacity building seminars and training, also inviting public servants from other countries for training as well. So there are a various spectrum of aid program in many different areas.
Got you. Now, you're in charge of the Global IT Cooperation. What countries is Korea specifically assisting, or what international organizations is Korea assisting with what you just mentioned?
Well, we try to focus more on underdeveloped world, because regular donation and aid programs are already established, but there are still a lot of demand for digital divide. So I think that we should treat information access and digital divide gap with the other aid program in same equal amount of importance. Okay. And so we are helping African countries a lot, and also South America, and recently Central Asia as well. So we are helping them with the Information Access Center. We set up more than 34 centers in 33 countries.
What's an Information Access Center?
It's more like advanced format of telecenter. So telecenter is the center which is established in rural areas. So if you go to the center, you can access to the internet and personal computers. And Internet Access Center is the more like advanced forms of telecenters. So we provide a state-of-art equipment and network access facilities. So many rural village peoples can go to the center and get trained, and they learn about the not only internet but also a lot of contents provided by us.
Okay, and you mentioned also seminars for government officials and I guess other leaders. What sort of seminars are you coaching people in, and again from which countries?
There are several types of seminars. One is a joint seminar with the international organizations such as World Bank and United Nations. And they have a lot of capacity building programs, and they want to invite the Korean experts to lead the seminars to provide a lot of education, specifically in the field of public services with the ICT-enabled technologies. And the other type is that we are inviting a lot of public servants from other countries. Last 12 years, we invited more than 4,000 public servants from 120 different countries. So we got lots of demands, and areas that we are providing seminars are such as e-government, broadband infrastructures, open datas, and standard interoperabilities. I mean, you name it, we provide a lot of different types of seminars to developing clients. Yeah.
What sort of feedback are you getting from the client states or the clients of these services you're providing?
Well, they are saying they'd rather want to learn about how to catch a fish rather than getting a fish. That's their reaction. Their reaction is really good, and actually a lot of Korean embassies are getting lots of applications from public servants from client countries. And they want to dispatch more and more public servants to Korea to learn how Korea really changed from poverty level countries to really ICT-enabled industries oriented countries. So they want to learn the know-how and experiences from Korea.
Got you. Now, we don't have time in the show to discuss the whole the Korean miracle from the ground up, but talking about the ICT area, Which areas in particular, in terms of technologies or infrastructure or systems, do you think Korea really has a leading edge advantage in, which can be a model for the developing world?
I think information networks, computer security, mobile platforms and services, and also a lot of developing world wants to know how Korea stimulate the markets and industry, because it's really hard to jump into the ICT industry nowadays. When you look at the competitive global industries, they don't give any spaces for newcomers. So they want to know how Korea really, arm themselves up and jump into the market and industries, and that is the most demanded areas from the client countries.
Gotcha. Okay, well, clearly, Korea is a very significant benchmark for developing countries. What about developed countries? I understand that some of your work is also counseling and consulting to much more advanced economies. What is Korea teaching to these economies, and which economies are these?
Well, I would say it's more like a bi-directional counseling.
Okay.
Yeah, and many advanced countries wants to know how Korea is moving to next step. And since the ICT industries and markets and trend are changing very fast, so they want to benchmark, and we want to benchmark them. So we want to benchmark each other. Otherwise, you'll be left behind. So, for instance, the European countries such as Finland and Sweden and also even Germany are frequent visitors to Korea, and also we visit the European countries as well, and they want to know how Korea going to move from mobile industries to where.
To whatever the next step may be.
Exactly, and they want to know what is the investment strategy, what is the policy directions. In that way, they wouldn't waste their resources and money to undemanded areas. So for us, it's extremely important. When you look at the Nokia's case, I mean, little mistakes change the huge differences. So we try to benchmark them, specifically regarding with the nowadays open data, big data, and smart government, and those are the three major hot areas in the public sector.
Speaking of smart government and e-government, I understand that Korea is something of a leader in this area. Talk to us a little bit about that. What are the key initiatives that South Korea has employed to enable e-governance?
Recently, a couple of years ago, we tried to shift our gears to integrated services. When you access to the portals, e-government portals, you can actually get the birth certificates, tax filing, and those kind of things. But nowadays, government tried to provide integrated services. The public doesn't need to visit every portals to get their services. They go to single portals, get integrated services, and that's much easier.
Now, I understand the Global E-Government Forum was held in Kintex over in Ilsan. What were the key outcomes from that?
Well, one of the key initiatives was about, of course, smart government is one of the issues, and the other thing was about open data. Government has a large amount of data, and for instance, disease control center, and they have lots of information about the viruses, flu, vaccination informations, and those kind of things. If they release those kind of documents to the public, actually the private companies can use those data and make another services for the market. So they can actually predict what kind of epidemics or pandemics can arise, and they can actually guide medical companies to produce vaccines with the accurate prediction. So lots of usages can be, application can be applied to private sectors with the open data. So government talk about the open data a lot. And the other thing is about the big data issues. Okay, nowadays, when you look at the Twitters or Facebook, tons of data are producing, and with those data, if we analyze it, actually we can predict what's going to happen in many different areas, such as health, weather, stock prices even. So there are lots of researches are going on. So
on research into how to collate this massive data into actual usable data.
Exactly. Not only massive data collect, but also analyze and try to make it as a valuable knowledge and information with the analyzed data. So that is the major talking point among government representatives.
Okay. Of course, the Park Geun-hye government talks a great deal about realizing a creative economy. You've just mentioned that government, by releasing some of this data, can indeed kickstart certain businesses and certain sectors. What are some of the other things you think that the government should be doing in the ICT area to realize a creative economy and to increase the happiness of the people, which of course is one of the key government aims and agendas?
Well, I'm still scratching my head that what is the real definition of a creative economy. But
you're not the only one.
Yeah, when I read about Dr. Hawkins' definition, still it's a little bit vague for me. But I think that the creative economy is something that you can combine the digital technology with any kind of fields, like a film industry, fashion, entertainment businesses. If you can combine it, if you can come up with the new ideas and new markets, that is eventually going to be creative economy. So that's why I think that Madam President Park Geun-hye mentioned about, singer Psy, who got, great hits with the YouTube. That's the combination of entertainment and digital technologies. So I think that with the IC industry, if IC industry can be combined with the conventional industries, and if they can come up with the new areas of industries, I mean, that can be called as creative economies. But still, I'm in the learning process.
I think we all are. Yeah. I mean, many people would say, of course, that South Korea is one of the most successful countries to have merged the ICT with the metal bashing, with old industry, but clearly there are still steps that could be taken. There's still many avenues to explore.
Definitely,
Okay.
yeah.
So, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for being on Bizline.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
If you're feeling under the weather, or if you simply need a checkup, it may not always be easy to visit a clinic because of lack of transport or some other unexpected circumstance. However, today it's no longer necessary to be sitting right in front of your doctor for your consultation. Remote medicine has obviated the problem of distance. All you need now is the right ICT.
Remote medical examinations are the latest hot issue in the medical community. As smart devices are popularized and a communications network is established nationwide, the paradigm for hospital is changing. An era when people's health is managed by smartphones and surgeries are conducted by robots instead of doctors. Such era of remote medical examinations is approaching. KT developed a Q-Care system that can manage blood sugar levels using a smartphone. When the person checks their blood sugar level with a wireless glucometer, the result is automatically transmitted to a designated clinic. Based on this, the doctor monitors the patient's conditions and inputs the result of diagnosis and healthcare methods. Then the patient can see the result via a smartphone app or on an internet web page. With this, the patient can get a customized medical treatment, such as a workout and nutrition management, at any time and anywhere.
혈당 측정을 하면 자동으로 이 혈당기의 블루투스와 게이트웨이의 블루투스가 서로 통신을 합니다. 그래서 블루투스 통신을 통해서 그 데이터가 인터넷 그 무선망을 통해서 서버까지 전송이 되고, 서버에 전송된 데이터가 환자들마다 맞춤형으로 볼 수 있도록 제공되는 서비스입니다.
In this aging era, chronically ill people are increasing and they require continuous healthcare. Like this, the matching between medical services and ICT technology is likely to change the paradigm for hospital examinations, amid increasing demand for remote medical examinations. This enables people to get a diagnosis by a professional medical team at home. Hospitals are already conducting remote medical examinations. Large hospitals and town clinics are sharing medical information by introducing a cloud-based integrated platform. With this, people can also get more professional medical examinations from town clinics.
경기도에 있는 종합병원의 선생님과 LA에 있는 그 교민 환자들 또는 그 종합병원에 있는 선생님과 경기도 곳곳에 있는 지역에 있는 그 센터들하고 연결을 해서 저희가 화상 상담까지 한 실적이 있거든요. 그래서 지금 이미 화상 상담 시스템은 이미 가능하다고 다 구현이 되었다고 보시면 되고요. 이제 이런 만성질환 관리 같은 서비스와 어떻게 연결을 해서 원격 진료가 가능한지를 계속 구현해 나가면 될 거라고 생각을 합니다.
전장 같은 데에서 이렇게 그 병사가 부상을 당하거나 이랬을 때 이제 예를 들어 아프가니스탄이다 그러면 미국에서 접속을 해서 그 현지에 있는 로봇을 이렇게 작동을 시켜가지고 그 수술을 한다든지 이런 것에 대한 연구 그리고 그런 것에 대한 시험들을 지금 계속 하고 있는데 그런 경우는 원격 진료라고 할 수 있는 거죠. 그런 경우 우리가 원격 수술이라고 부르고요.
Jeonnam National University's Robot Research Institute is studying high-tech medical robots. With a computer, this researcher is remotely controlling a microbot to treat blood vessels. The researcher is experimenting on the robot's functions in a pig's blood vessel, considered similar to human blood vessels.
이제 사람에게 바로 시험을 할 수 없기 때문에 살아있는 돼지 내에 마이크로 로봇을 삽입하고 이동하고 그리고 인공적으로 혈관을 막아서 그거를 이제 터널링하는 실험까지 진행을 하고 있습니다.
This is the only robotic technology in the world that works in dynamic bloodstreams to cure blood vessels. Moreover, when a patient swallows a pill-sized capsule, the wireless endoscopic capsule can film images of the patient's internal organs in real time. It is highly functional and can completely replace existing endoscopes.
기존의 캡슐 내시경은 8시간이나 하루 정도를 기다렸다가 의사가 보는데 반해서 우리는 실제로 캡슐을 먹고 의사가 조이스틱으로 조정하는 대로 그대로 막 움직이고 의사는 실시간으로 그 장기 속에 소화기관 속에 영상을 보면서 진단하기 때문에 15분 내지 20분 안에 끝날 수 있는 고통이 없이 쉽기 때문에 가면 갈수록 더 시장이 커질 거로 그렇게 기대를 하고 있습니다.
With its micro size and bacterial propulsion, the bacterial robot can precisely get to the cancer cell and inject medicine.
수술과 치료는 최대한도로 살아있는 세포를 다치지 않고 병든 세포만 치료를 하면 되기 때문에 그런 마이크로 나노로봇은 그런 장점이 있고요. 또 한 가지는 마이크로 나노로봇은 최소 침습 개념을 궁극적인 한 솔루션 체계입니다. 예를 들어서 주사기 하나로만 집어넣으면 될 정도로 전혀 인체 절기가 필요 없는 궁극적인 하나의 해법을 마이크로 나노로봇은 제시를 하게 되죠.
8 kinds of robots, including a robot doing surgeries on bone fractures, a cable-driven robot for rehabilitation purposes, and a robot doing brain surgeries, all developed with domestic technologies, are awaiting commercialization in the next few years. Indeed, the global medical robot market is expected to rise steadily, reaching $8.8 billion next year. The medical robots currently being developed are targeted for assisting medical teams in operating rooms. But in a distant future, when communication technologies are far more developed, there may come a day when surgeries are conducted remotely using robots.
스마트폰이 발달을 하면서 스마트폰 액세서리 형태로 굉장히 저렴하게 집에서 진단하거나 자기가 자기 건강을 체크해보는 그런 종류의 기기들이 앞으로 많이 나올 것으로 보거든요. 개인들이 자기 건강을 지키기 위해서 그 기기를 산다거나 또는 어떤 서비스를 활용하는 그런 부분들이 좀 병행해서 진행이 됐을 때 이런 어떤 원격 진료가 뭐 실질적인 어떤 그 효과를 가져올 수가 있다고 생각합니다.
Along with the development of ICT technologies, an era of remote medical examinations is approaching. We hope that patients will benefit more from such changes in the medical community.
Plastic wrap is convenient and ubiquitous, but it's easily torn. It's not always environmentally friendly as a waste product and can even contain harmful chemicals. However, there's a new silicone wrap now coming on the market. It's safe, it's eco-friendly, it's fully flexible, and it's semi-permanent. Let's meet this week's hidden champion.
An interesting test has gone viral recently on YouTube. The test involves a plastic wrap that covers a big bowl with various sauces inside. Not a drop of the content escapes the bowl, thanks to the special wrap. The wrap made from silicone material boasts outstanding adhesive power, attracting the interest of overseas users. The makers behind the sensational product is a Korean small and medium-sized company. We visited JNC Global, which specializes in making eco-friendly kitchenware with silicone material.
실리콘 소재가 이제 말 그대로 이제 환경 호르몬이 배출이 되지 않다 보니까 이제 친환경 소재입니다. 그리고 이제 주방용품들이 많은 소재들을 쓰고 있는데 이제 실리콘이 특히 이제 어떤 모양이든지 자유롭게 또 성형을 할 수 있다라는 그런 장점이 있어요. 그래서 이제 실리콘 소재에 이제 좀 더 주목해서 이제 지금 제품들을 계속 개발하고 생산하게 됐습니다.
The silicone material provides a better solution to an increasing social problem involving products that omit environmental hormones harmful for the human body. Plastic containers and plastic wrap that we use in the kitchen every day omits massive amounts of environmental hormones. This is why eco-friendly silicone material is becoming increasingly popular in the kitchenware market.
실리콘 고무는 내열성, 내한성이 좋은 것으로 평가가 되고 있습니다. 따라서 영하 100도씨 그리고 섭씨 300도씨에서 어떤 외부 환경이 주어졌을 때도 변형이 적은 것으로 이렇게 평가가 되고 있고요. 또 내수성이 좋아서 끓는 물에 가열을 해도 변형이 되지 않고 또 환경 호르몬이 발생하지 않는 것이 특징으로 좀 지적이 되고 있습니다.
At one household item shop, there has been growing demand for silicone wrap recently by domestic and overseas consumers.
I think plastic kitchen product is not really good because it's not good for environment. It's not eco-friendly. So I think silicone product is better and good.
JNC Global has focused on improving its product quality by using high-quality silicone material. JNC Global silicone wrap can be used without omitting environmental hormones at minus 40 degrees Celsius and 180 degrees Celsius. The greatest advantage of a silicone wrap is that it is 3 times less likely to tear compared to regular silicone material, making it a semi-permanent product.
만능랩 같은 경우에는 반영구적으로 사용할 수 있습니다. 특히 저희가 지금 기본적으로 3,000회 테스트를 시행해서 성적서를 가지고 있고요. 사용하시다 보면은 3,000회 더 이상, 예를 들어서 5,000회 만회까지도 사용은 하실 수가 있는 걸로 저희는 내부 테스트를 마쳤습니다.
This housewife is a silicone wrap user. She is satisfied with the product since it can be reused, which has economic advantages.
우선 제일 걱정되는 부분이 환경 호르몬 문제인데요. 일반 랩에는 환경 호르몬이 많이 있잖아요. 뭐 렌지에 돌릴 때도 이제 그 뜨거운 열을 가할 때도 호르몬 걱정하지 않아도 되고요. 보통 랩은 일회용이잖아요. 이거는 반영구적으로 계속 사용할 수 있고요. 우선 뭐 삶아서 써도 되고 이렇게 또 밀착력도 굉장히 좋고 여러 가지로 좋은 점이 많은 것 같아요.
The response has been positive among overseas consumers over the silicone wrap. JNC Global has gained confidence in its product quality based on its success at home and the overseas market. The silicone wrap is being exported to some 10 countries around the world after passing the picky standards of the Food and Drug Administration in the United States and Germany.
해외에서 선진국들, 뭐 미국이나 독일, 일본 같은 데서 먼저 인정을 받으면 국내 시장은 좀 더 보다 쉽게 인정받을 수 있을 것 같은 부분 때문에 저희가 이제 해외 시장을 먼저 공략하게 됐고 이제 마침 이제 또 상담이 잘 돼서 이제 독일 같은 데도 수출하게 됐고 또 이제 뭐 미국 같은데 또 뭐 일본 이런 데 이제 계속 지금 수출이 되고 있는 그런 상황에 있습니다.
JNC Global has become a success through its eco-friendly kitchenware, the silicone wrap. The company is currently focused on creating a product that reflects the latest trend through the help from its R&D researchers and product designers, as well as experts in the related field.
저희는 이제 계속 또 새로운 품질의 제품을 지금 이제 준비하고 있고 이제 또 그런 제품을 또 생산할 계획을 갖고 있습니다. 그래서 뭐 예적으로 이제 저희가 실리콘은 지금 순수하게 이제 그 특수한 실리콘 소재만 쓰고 있지만 거기다 이제 나노를 첨가해서 항균이라든지 탈취력을 높인다든지 또는 이제 퀀텀 뭐 양자 에너지를 또 이제 첨가해서 음식을 좀 더 진짜 신선하게 보관할 수 있다라든지 그래서 굉장히 고기능적인 것을 이제 같이 이제 실리콘 랩에다 이제 해서 이제 저희가 좀 더 새로운 시장을 또 창출하고 그래서 계속 앞서갈 생각입니다.
JNC Global is in the spotlight for creating silicone wrap that supplements the problems of existing plastic wrap. The company is expected to create a wave of change in the eco-friendly kitchenware market through continuous research and development. The Korean company is gearing up to challenge the global market with the best quality product.
In the cult television series of the 1960s, The Prisoner, the hero proclaims, "I'm not a number, I'm a free man." Yet in North Korea in 2013, numbers are often preferred to specific nouns. So, for example, in Bureau number 773, Inspector number 14 took a look at machine number 11, and so on. Why does North Korea prefer numbers to nouns? The reason may surprise you.
Letter number 1, road number 1, food number 1. Each of them refers to letters from North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un and his predecessors Kim Jong-il and Kim Il-sung, roads dedicated to the Kims, and food only for the Kims and their families. But that's not all. About 2/3 of nearly 200 arms and munitions factories and companies, as well as all of political and criminal prison camps, are called by numbers in the rogue nuclear state. And numbers are believed to be commonly used in names in the reclusive totalitarian state that needs to put a society under effective control and conceal many state affairs from its people. In a South Korean movie, Berlin, that was released earlier this year, the main character was a North Korean spy dispatched from the country's Office Number 35. In fact, Office Number 35 is known to send spies overseas to lure or kidnap people to North Korea and gather information.
뭐 11호실, 20호실 이렇게 달 수가 있는데 왜 이런 그 35호실이라고 달았나? 김종일이가 지시한 그 날짜의 이름을 따서 바꾼 거죠. 3월 5일 날 지시에 의해서 만들어진 것이 다시 조직 개편된 것이 35호실입니다.
There are Office Number 38 and Office Number 39 in the North Korea's ruling Workers' Party. They are reported to have managed Kim Jong-il's personal slush fund and foreign currency earned through illegal weapons sales.
38호실, 39호실 자체는 중앙당 안에 그 조직지도부 안에 3층에 8호실에 있다는 의미에서 38호실이에요. 그리고 39호실은 3층에 9호실에 있다고 39호실에. 그것이 일반 주민들 보기에는 39호실이 뭐고 38호실 모르지 누구도 모르죠. 알 수 없도록 그 자체도 비밀로 만드는 거죠.
All political prison camps in North Korea, where human rights are believed to be commonly violated, are numbered. One in Yeodok is called Kwangli-so number 15, and another in Hwaryong is called Kwangli-so number 22. The criminal labor camps are also called by numbers.
대내외에 알려지지 않을 만큼 비밀스러운 기관들이 다 숫자를 붙였어요. 그다음에 또 군수공장, 38호 공장, 96호 공장, 97호 공장, 28호 공장 다 숫자로 나갑니다. 이것도. 수백 개 공장이 다 숫자로 나가요. 모든 공장들이 다. 왜? 비밀 때문에.
As North Korea is a totalitarian country which discards individuality, naming with numbers also may have been natural and effective for the regime to control the society.
사회주의 국가에서는 이게
그 로컬리티라고 하는 것도 이렇게 발달되어 있지 않고 전체를 하나로 묶어서 숫자를 부여하고 그걸 통해 가지고 효율적으로 관리하는 이 시스템이 기본적인 북한의 운영 시스템이라고 볼 수 있는 것들이고요.
Among things numbered in North Korea, number 20 inspection refers to sanitation inspection derived from Cabinet Decision number 20. Here, number 20 indicates fleas and lice. Number 49 hospital is a mental hospital. The name is derived from Cabinet Decision number 49 about people with mental disorders.
북한 같은 경우에는 보통 이제 네이밍 방식이 굉장히 간단한데 예를 들어 우리처럼 무슨 브랜드라든가 개별 가치보다는 편의성을 중심으로 해서 이렇게 부여되는 것들이고요. 그러다 보니까 예를 들어 뭐 36호 관리 대상자, 뭐 56호 건물, 뭐 36호실, 27호실 이런 식의 명명이 붙는 것들이죠.
It is believed that certain places and products are named with numbers that represent dates related to the Kims for their idolization.
118 일용 공장이 있어요. 근데 118 공장이라는 거는 기본적으로 땅크 엔진이나 그다음에 비행기, 헬리콥터 그것까지 만들어내는 이런 1월 18일 날 김일성이 현지된 걸로 가지고 118호 공장 뭐 이런 의미가 또 있죠.
In particular, cars with registered plate numbers starting with 216 belong to key people close to Kim Jong-il and the Central Committee of the Workers' Party.
2월 16일 날 차가 다 지나고 다닐 땐 항상 거기다 2월 16일 김정일 생일 그 차. 그럼 거기에 대해서 우러러보고 김정일에 대한 저절로 우상화가 생기게 만드는 것이 바로 그래서 그럽니다.
당 주황이 제일 우선이니까 자동차 번호판 같은 경우에도 01이라고 하는 것은 주황당 간부 차량에 붙는 번호가 되니까 01 자체에 특별한 의미가 부여되는 것들이고 그러면서 이제 1이라는 의미가 상대적으로 이게 나중에 차별화가 된 것들이죠.
This is a North Korean movie called Sowon or Wish in English.
나 소원 불었어. 소원? 당신 기념사진 찍었어요.
The movie is about how the main character Ok-cheol's lifelong dream came true by taking a photo with the Great Marshal. Like this movie, North Korean people have a desire to take a number one picture with their greatest leader and inherit the copy as a family treasure. Not only were numbers used to keep its people totally in dark about government affairs, it was used to provoke loyalty.
주민들은 사실은 일단 무슨 숫자화된 것 자체는 그냥 척 들어도 어디 높은 기관에 왔겠다 또는 공포의 분위기나 통제의 분위기 이런 게 만연되고 있는 거로 생각할 수 있는 가능성이 높죠. 또 그렇게 되고 있고요.
But with growing inflow of information about the outside world, an increasing number of North Koreans are becoming aware of secret state affairs. The reclusive social states regime needs to face the truth that it will become harder to hide the truth from its people and to control them with mysterious numbers.
And that's all we have time for on Bizline this week. But do join us next week. We'll be looking at kimchang, the kimchi making season, and seeing how that affects the overall national economy. We'll also be assessing the likelihood of a free trade agreement covering all of Northeast Asia. So do stay with us. But for now, that's all we have time for. I'm Andrew Salmon. This was Bizline. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.